Oh. Oh, yeah. Fuck. All right. I remember what was gonna happen. Fuck. Okay.
Lives.
Yes.
Actually, you don't need to like see it. I'll just play ESO. And it could be brought over. I don't know if it supersedes.
Right. On your projections, and it turned out that none of it was true. You painted a doomsday climate change scenario. Farmers, city planners, taxpayers, none of it was correct. No. So you can't just admonish them now. You can't just look down your noses at them now and say, "Well, I can't. Why wouldn't you believe us, you silly bumpkin?" Well, because of you. I don't believe you. Question of the day. Was there can you pinpoint an exact moment when you started sort of tuning out the progressive left's climate change alarmism, or was it more of a gradual thing? Now, comment below. I do want to hear from you guys. Now, first off, let me preface this. Of course, I am in no way a climate change scientist expert, nor do I claim to be. That being said, neither are most of you. Yeah. Okay? And this is something I
would like... Okay. First problem. Yes, I am not a scientist. Yes, he is not a scientist. The problem is that he's the one making a new claim. And he's the one. Yeah, he's making a new claim. Sorry, he's the one making a new claim, and he's not, and he's backing it up with evidence. Or not, or no evidence. So yeah, I'm not a scientist, but I'm sourcing science. I'm using scientific sources. You're not.
Like to cover because it affects real people's lives, and I think a big reason why fewer people believe in climate change than before is because the media and the left today, regardless.
Let me answer this first. I think that a good portion of it is because, yes, you know, the left have screwed up, Democrats have screwed up, whatever, people have screwed up when mentioning, it's so loud, when mentioning climate change and making predictions on climate change. So yeah, that muddies the water a lot. That's a problem. But, it's also because of you fucking buffoons who just don't know how to fucking read. And I'm just the smoothest fucking brain.
Let's ignore the science for a second. Put on the shelf for a second. That's gonna be a soundbite. Ignore this. I'm not saying ignore the science.
Just for a minute.
Put on the shelf for a second.
Just a sec.
The media berates and mocks Americans who don't believe specifically in their current man-made climate change predictions.
I don't know about that one.
So when it comes to denial,
wait, no, but that's totally untrue. You're made a buffoon if you just don't believe in climate change. You fucking moron. Oh, yeah, because his defense is, I do believe in climate change, but not to the extent, it's like this much. It's like, no, he's just fucking smooth brain.
I claim they're a problem.
When President Kennedy set us on a course for the moon, there were a number of people who made a serious case that it wouldn't be worth it. It was going to be too expensive, it was going to be too hard, it would take too long. But nobody ignored the science. Today's Congress, though, is full of folks who stubbornly and automatically reject the scientific evidence about climate change.
Not really.
There's that Gallup poll that came out last month, which found 1 in 4 Americans is skeptical of all the effects of climate change and thinks this issue's been exaggerated.
Who gives a Okay, so it turns out that Americans, it's actually dropped by about 4% in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Americans who believe in man-made climate. So let me explain to you why I think this might be the people. Again, we're putting the science on the shelf for a second, the totality of the science. But what does matter, I think, with a lot of Americans, if we're going to berate and admonish them, is a lot of these Americans live in middle America, okay? Particularly in the Great Lakes states. And this is something, I lived through this, I'm from Michigan. The alarmism at that, people were scared to high heaven by the climate change progressive left, that the lakes were going to dry up very quickly.
Lake Michigan, when measured just...
Well, actually, the Great Lakes, they're probably going to dry up because you keep on stealing our fucking water. The United States just throws in... The Great Lakes are predominantly controlled by Canada. Predominantly. We like, control the waters as, like, peacekeepers or whatever. And the fucking States just throws in pipes and just sucks up a fuck ton of water. It's like our water. It's just...
a few weeks ago was at its lowest depth in any measured time in recent history. What we're seeing in global warming is the evaporation of our Great Lakes. It's a scary thing.
He also enjoys a good leisure suit. So, and here we have an article from USA Today. I remember this article. I think it was in 2012, 2013. They said it would take decades of rain, heavy rain, just to return to normal. Okay, it took 2 years. 5-6 years later,
record levels.
Record levels. Here's something I want people to understand. If you were wrong about this, and you told the rest of America in 2012 and 2013 that they were all unequivocally wrong, if they didn't wholesale 100% accept your premise, you chastised. Well, where are we now? Lake Superior is already near record high levels. By May could reach a record that was set in the mid 1980s. Lake Erie could reach.
Okay, so what does that mean? Does it mean that guy's wrong that the lakes would dry up? Yep. Could it reveal something else that might be true? Maybe. Could it be that the lakes are filling up because of global warming, so there's less ice in areas and it's been dragged down into the lakes? But no, what's gonna happen is he'll say that, see, look, you were wrong on the Great Lakes things, so therefore climate change is debunked.
Record highs later this spring. Lake Michigan and Huron also expected to be much higher, much higher than historically normal levels. It only took a few years to get to significantly higher than normal levels. And I remember this because I was in Michigan, and my grandmother-in-law, 96, has beachfront property that's been in the family for decades.
Beautiful place.
And they were saying, "Oh man, remember they said, oh, there's the beach now. You can see it. You can see how far out it is. It's all used to be covered in water." And then the water level rose so much they lost their beach chairs.
Everything was gone.
They're gone.
You also need to take into account that there's potentially more water being exported than ever before. At least that's what people thought. Certainly in the last decades. Take Nestle for example. For their bottled water, they funnel,
you got in trouble for taking our shit.
A minute.
Oh, that's a lot.
From the Great Lakes.
A lot of water.
Okay, and it's going, and it's not like, for example, at one point, if you had a well, or if you were taking water from Lake Michigan, you lived in Michigan, went through your filtration system, went through the ground back, and they're like, no, this is water that is 400 gallons a minute being taken out of Lake Michigan and shipped to Texas. It's not going back into Lake. Record highs. Record highs. By the way, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed on YouTube, because apparently notification subscriptions don't mean a whole lot. Bookmark the page. Join Mugclub, ladderscutter.com/Mugclub if you haven't already, and subscribe on iTunes. Give us a rating. Here's the thing. Americans who believed you, and of course the people who you didn't, those were the select few you didn't admonish. Their economies largely revolve around the Great Lakes. This is so when you say levels will undeniably continue, and I'm just trying to present you with...
What the fuck does any of this matter? I'm so... Okay, go.
Hopefully, a little bit of understanding here.
When you somewhere?
Levels will undeniably, undoubtedly continue to descend to record low...
How many people said this, by the way? Was it just that guy? If it was just that one guy, I'll be forced to shoot myself. If it's just that one fucking guy. Because... Holy smokes. Like, if you're freaking out like this over one guy... Due to climate
change, and exclusively climate change, they have to plan their seasons for things like more erosion, less underpass room for waterway bridges. They have to plan extensive dredging of harbors. City engineering comes into play. Not to mention the private businesses. They have to adjust their business models based on your projections of shorefront, water cleanliness, all of that. The same can be said, by the way, for climate change alarmists on farming and the crop yields in the Great Lakes area, which have had some record great yields as well.
They should have just been honest from the very beginning and taken the cautious approach and said, hey, something is happening. We do have record low levels right now. We need to figure this out. And we need to be cautious. And instead, they went way over and said, oh my God, they're going to disappear.
The world is going to end.
Here's the thing. The important thing is that it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
And it doesn't mean, and I get it, doesn't mean that all climate science is bunk. That's not what I'm saying. But what you do need to take into account here is that people base their lives on your projections. And it turned out that none of it was
my
true. You
fucking
painted a doomsday climate change scenario. Farmers, city planners, taxpayers, they believe none of it was correct. So you can't just admonish them now. You can't just look down your nose at them now and say, "Well, I can't. Why wouldn't you believe us, you silly bumpkin?" Well, because of you. Yes, I don't believe you.
You lied last time.
You don't
probably
believe
lied
science?
again.
No,
This is
not
like
all
the Fyre
science,
Festival
just
all over
you.
again.
Yeah, it is the Friday.
How many people have said? I get like, who the fuck? What? It depends on how many people have said this, because I don't ever remember. No, wait. I think I remember hearing this. I don't know.
This is Fright Fest too.
know?
I mean, like,
Or
Fyre Fest.
I believe science. I don't believe politicians because, I mean, what exactly has the left not tried to claim is
You
because
don't
of climate
believe science? I believe scientists, not politicians. Yeah, good. Except for the fact that you don't believe scientists either.
change? Legal
It's true.
immigration, refugee.
Because you look at the 90% number and go, I don't think 90% of scientists could agree. I don't think so. I don't think people work that way. Well, it's true.
Climate change, Muslims raping people in Europe, climate change.
Yeah, they're
There's-
hot.
Terrorism, ISIS,
Fyre
climate change.
Festival.
Climate change.
yes.
Who the
Climate
fuck
change.
has ever
So
said that?
you
Who
think
said
to be
that?
true with the great,
Who
like,
the
you know what
fuck
the
said
internet
that?
to be true, by the way? Energy plants being closed and
Yep.
tens of thousands of jobs lost due to government manipulation, price fixing, goods and commodities. There were taxes levied on all Americans disproportionately. By the way,
Okay. Okay, I still don't get it. So tax cuts or tax raise is bad. Like I don't. Okay, I'll wait for some sort of.
like
conclusion
disproportionately
to this
affecting the
video.
middle class as well. When you
Yeah.
talk about a lot of these so-called green taxes, this is something that I think you would do well to listen to.
Mr. Obama. I don't care about
Instead of
Obama.
now we've crossed this bridge.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Hey, you guys have to plan for this. We guarantee you 100% no doubt record lows are going to get worse due to climate change. None of it is true. And this impacted economies and tens of thousands of people lost their job. At this point, you'd be better off saying, okay, well, maybe we were incorrect, but
Hey.
recalibrate.
If the wouldn't the energy plants closing have an effect on the water levels rising, continuing to fall, or rising back up? No, I don't know about what happened there, but that sounds like those could connect, right? So if you freak out about, so if you overreach and freak out about the lakes, so let's say they do some research, they figure out that maybe there's a small chance that the lakes dry up in 3 years. In 10 years. And you go out there and you freak out because you're an idiot politician or whatever and say that it's going to happen in 7 years or 5 years. So a bunch of factories close that were ripping out water from the place and using a bunch of water from the lakes, and then the lakes get their water back because the factories are closed. Wouldn't it be the reason why, right? But I don't know if that happened here, but it just sounds like that's funny. They freaked out and did stuff, and then they freaked out about it, did some stuff to prevent it, and then it was prevented. Weird.
Calibrate. Instead,
People lost jobs.
what the left continues to do is just say, well, the science is settled, as you see.
It makes me feel frustrated because, again, you can say I don't believe in gravity, but if you step off the cliff, you're going down. So we can say I don't believe climate is changing, but it's based on
Okay,
science.
the one thing that you have to notice, the one thing that you have to realize about a scientist, or people in general, is they kind of expect you, like most people, when they understand a topic or something, they kind of just expect other people to also understand it. And this is a problem with scientists, is that they all think this is easy concepts, like they get it. Wow, why can't you get it? Because that's how like people act, right? So when scientists get on TV shows,
Enough, Silery. These mysterious
they act this way, like, oh, well, you may not believe in gravity, but it's gonna fuck you up. So it's the same thing with climate change, which is true. But like, you can't talk to people that way because they're smooth brains, like Steven Crowder out there, and well, maybe not Steven Crowder specifically, but he generates a crowd who thinks like a bunch of smooth brain idiots. Oh my god. Oh fuck. I want to hit play, but there's a thing chasing me.
Science that's over 150 years old.
It requires a whole system
of people's research, all leaning in the same direction, all pointing to the same consequences. That's what we have with climate change as induced by human conduct.
Do we use the same, by the way, same temperature measurements as they did 150 years ago?
Probably
Seems
not,
to me
yeah.
they might be a little bit different.
We're not
As
wrong over
opposed
here.
to accusing people of being science-denying bumpkins.
You know, like, conversions exist, right? I don't know what that point was.
How about you admit that you screwed up? And in the case of the Great Lakes, you screwed up on one of the big ones, okay? That's it.
I don't remember. Okay, what I don't understand is, like, he's asking for people to admit when they were wrong, but I feel like he looks at people who didn't have any part in it, right? So it's like, hey, AOC, why don't you apologize for when Al Gore got that thing wrong? It's like, why the fuck would I do that?
Big deal.
He's a Democrat. I don't care.
There are several
Literally
of them.
one.
Many Great Lakes. You screwed up many lakes of greatness. By the way, the people who lived through the timeline in its entirety, these people lived through the projected terror, the uncertainty, prepared for the doomsday scenarios that you projected only to come out of the other side and to see that they would have been completely unscathed if not for you. You're the one who scathed them.
Okay, so this video's almost over, and he hasn't really shown me how they were wrong, if that makes sense, or like how the predictions were never correct in the first place, right? So like if they were wrong, like if they were dead wrong, if the scientists were dead wrong, you should be able to show me that they were dead wrong. So what I should see is you should be able to bring up some form of evidence that shows that, look, water during that scare period was still taken out of the Great Lakes at the same rate, and all of this stuff still happened, and the Great Lakes didn't get drained. That the rain came back and whatever, okay? But he hasn't shown me any of that. So what it sounds like is happening, because the way he's described it, is they freaked out, they fired a fuck ton of people, which is arguably bad, because people lose their jobs, whatever, you know? Like, it's better to switch them to a different job. But people lose a bunch of fucking jobs, and then the water came back. But he's not, like, I don't know if the water came, like, it could be that the water came back because those factories were no longer at work, ripping out a fuck ton of water. So the water had nowhere else to go besides back to the lakes, right?
They don't believe you anymore. Instead of insulting them, you need to earn their trust back. And I know many of you in the climate change alarmism camp claim that it's not your job to convince anyone because of scientific consensus. But in this case, I would say that actually the burden of proof, absolutely, given the previous climate models, given the previous projections, I would say the burden of proof absolutely rests square.
Oh, good thing that the proof is already out there. That's what the consensus is. So now you can go look at the research. It's public knowledge. The research is public knowledge. You can go look at it yourself. It's already been proven. It's fact. Climate change is happening, dog. You just don't believe it is the problem. That's why there's a consensus of 99%. Okay? That's like science. It's very simple. The only reason they came to a consensus of 99% is because there was evidence. Somebody brought forth evidence. All of the scientists looked at it and came to a consensus that it's true. So you don't need to ask them to further prove it when they already have. Do you get it, Smoothie? Okay.
On your shoulders, not because of polls or consensus, but because of several observable and expensive.
What do you think the consensus is? It's other scientists agreeing with the research done. They're not just pulling it out of their asshole. They came to a consensus. Let's go over the definition for consensus. It's breaking. A general agreement. Okay.
life-costing hypotheses that proved to be completely untrue. In other words,
but where is the evidence that it was completely proven not true? Because again, the way you've described things is it sounds like people freaked the fuck out and then a bunch of jobs were erased. Those jobs, why they were erased is because they were leading to the lakes being dried out. So perhaps the massive fucking ripping of jobs caused the water to come back.
Because of science. Okay, if you like this video, you know, you watch videos on YouTube.
Thank you, Steven Crowder, for showing me fuck all about climate change and how it's not real. Again, thank you so much, Crowder. I appreciate you so fucking much, dude. Holy fuck. Smoothie brain, buddy. Oh my. God fucking damn it, dude. Like, fuck, I just need people in chat so that I can fucking bounce these ideas off, because holy fuck. Okay, so, because I don't know if, like, I need to, like, I don't know if this, clearly it doesn't get through some people, and that's evident by the fucking, endless sea of smoothie brains in the fucking Steven Crowder sub box, right? Fans, like, comment section, everything like that. So I know that it doesn't get through to people, but I can't tell because I have no one to fucking talk to. So it's like hold on, I should have. Like, yeah, like a consensus is like he's saying like, no, don't just, not polling, not, it's like they're not just going around asking. No, wait, even if yeah, it's not like their poll is, do you believe climate change is real? Because the scientists would go, well, what do you mean? So if they were polled, they would have been shown, like, the poll would probably go, do you agree, or like the questionnaire would probably go like, do you agree with this or these sets of evidence for climate change and blah blah blah? Because it's not like it's one fucking dude who went out and made it. So there's a bunch of coinciding pieces of evidence which scientists from all over the world have now come together and agreed upon. But anyway, I don't know. I feel like I don't have to go any further than that. Like, how does that not go by you? I don't understand. How is that, like, how do you not trust that? Do you get it? Like, a bunch of scientists were shown the collection of evidence for climate change, and that group of scientists have come to an agreement that yes, these things are evidence of climate change, or that climate change is a thing. Yeah, like these scientists don't just like hold on to their it's all public knowledge. You can go and find the studies. They're everywhere. Like, it's clear. Okay, here's one. I don't even need to bring up the study, but here's an observation you can make yourself. If fuck, well, okay, you might not be able to, because if you're a smooth brain, you might get this. I might even get this testing wrong. This test, I could do the test and it might be filled with errors. But if you have a vacuum, if you have a vacuum sealed chamber and there's nothing in it, and you light a fire, well, the fire won't light up because there's no air. So sorry, you have like one atmosphere. You have an atmosphere, okay? In a box, like you just took you opened the box, you captured the oh, thanks buddy, I appreciate you. You captured the air outside your house. You have this vacuum seal box. You walk outside, you catch a bunch of air, and you bring it inside. Ignoring like the current CO2 levels in the sky, whatever, but it doesn't really affect you on the ground. Anyways, sorry, back to it. If you then take that, what the fuck is going on with my OBS? Sorry. If you then take that box and light a fire, or heat up the box, I should say, with a light. You point a light in that box. The air inside that box will become a certain temperature, right? Like you put a thermometer at the bottom of the box, the thermometer will reach a certain temperature. If you start to add more CO2 to that box, the box increases its heat retention. So you shine the light into the box, more heat from the light stays in the box after like light refraction and stuff like that, right? Okay. Now, that was a really shit description of like a test, and don't like try to carry that out because it's probably flawed as fuck. But that's like the gist of it. So when you the sun is the light, and we have our atmosphere. The more CO2 you put in the atmosphere, the more heat it retains. That's a proven fact. That is undeniable fact. Completely undeniable. So if you can't deny that, then, like, if that's undeniable, like, I don't know why Steven Crowder would deny that. So then climate change in that point is real, because there's a bunch of things that we have that produce CO2. So you have to concede the autistic point that greenhouse gases don't exist, basically, right? Like some people say that. So if you take that point, then now you've gone out of, you're no longer within reality anymore. So like, I don't know what the fuck's going on
We grow
anymore.
accustomed to the
Shut up. Yeah, it's very strange. I need somebody to like be here to pop off an idea. Fuck.